Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Newport and I love indie makeup and all things color and sparkle. And today I want to do a look for you that uses one of my favorite techniques, which is to combine contrasting warm and cool tones together in one look. If that sounds good to you, please give this video a like and consider subscribing because I'm still relatively new to YouTube, so every little piece of support really helps me out. So today's video is going to be in a get ready with me style / tutorial type of video. I'm going to be trying to combine some newly released products as well as yet to be released products as well as some older favorite staples of mine. I'm going to be starting with eyeshadow because usually the way I like to do my looks is build all of the other color cosmetics like cheeks and lips around my eyeshadow because that is my favorite part of my routine. So my go-to technique for combining warm and cool tones, at least in the eyeshadow portion, is to choose one of them, either warm or cool, and do the mattes with that tone, and then do the lid shimmer with the opposite tone. And today I'm going to be doing my mattes in cool tones. So I'm going to be using the Blend Bunny Longing palette because it just has some of my favorite cool tones ever. And let me zoom you in and we can get started. I meant to mention this earlier, but the single shadow that I'm going to be using all over my lid is from the Sinful Echoes collection in collaboration with my friend Katie, Mybeautyfilledlife over on Instagram. And this is the Spiritus Vitae collection. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but I specifically want to use this single shadow over here. I think it's called Incantation or Intention. I'll write the name up here on the screen because I can't remember right now. Or actually, hang on, let me just check the pan. It's Incantation. And this shadow has kind of some warm shifts, but it's over this teal base, which I think you can see when the light's not hitting it, that teal base is over there. So that tells me that I want to pair this with the desaturated grayish teal shades from the Longing palette. So I'm probably going to be working primarily with this row over here, but I might use some of this row to cool it down some more. We'll see. I'm going to start with the shade Misty Eyed over here, and I'm taking it on a Rougher 14 brush. And then really quickly, in case you don't know how I do my tutorials, is I'm going to be showing you the application on this eye, my right eye, but I'll have the step that I'm currently doing already done on this eye over here. That way you can see as I'm building over here what the end goal is. So I'm just taking Misty Eyed through the crease, and on me, this is a perfect mid-tone transition crease color. So I'm just slowly blending that. My eyes are quite deep set, and so I don't like to blend with them looking like this, but I will lift them up just to get the brush into that socket over there first and deposit most of the pigment there. And then once that's there, I will slowly start blending upwards and outwards too. This color is so interesting because it is, I would say it's kind of a teal, but it's more desaturated. And to me, teal is a mixture between green and blue, which means like it's not strictly cool toned in my head, but something about this shade being so desaturated makes it cool toned. And I think it's going to pair really well with that shimmer. Then I'm taking more of Misty Eyed on this Blend Bunny brush. This is the B3 brush from their original eye brush set, which has been discontinued, but any small pencil brush should work. And this is just gonna go right along the lower lash line, starting from the inner portion and working my way outwards. This is going to be a pretty simple look, like most of my looks are, because I don't know, I don't play with placement as much as I like to focus on color combos and texture and things like that. I'm going to take the next shade down, which is Bottled Up, and on this Blend Bunny B4 brush. And this is going to go on the outer corner, and I'm just first stamping it on, building it up here because I do want a lot of pigment, and then I'm slowly going to start blending it out. I'm trying to get used to holding my mirror a little bit lower so it's not actually in the frame, but I am kind of failing at that today. Also bringing it in just a little bit into the crease because I don't want it to be too light over here. I actually picked up a bit more of that first shade Misty Eyed, and I'm going to add it a bit more because I feel like it's a little sheer over here and I just want it to be a bit more opaque. And then I'm actually bringing in that medium shade Bottled Up a bit more onto my lid just to add a little bit of depth, because the shimmer that I'm going to use is it has a bit of a lighter base, and I want this look to be really gray toned and smoky. Like, I want there to be a lot of contrast, and in order to do that, I need these gray tones to be dark enough to hold up against that bright shimmer. I'm also running that bottled up shade on the outer third of my lower lash line. I'm eating my words because I think I actually do want a little bit more brightness in the inner portion of my crease. So I'm going to take this pastel shade over here and just add the tiniest amount of it. Just the smallest amount of it over here to brighten things up so that it doesn't get too smoky in the inner portion here. Then I'm going to take the tiniest amount of this shade right here on this tiny Makeup Shack brush. This is the T63 brush. I really love this for adding just the tiniest amount of depth in the outer corner without going overboard. Hopefully you can see I've already done this eye and there's just a little bit more depth, and that's why I like to take my mid-tone shade all the way out to my outer corner over here, so that when I go in with super deep dark shades and I add them on top, it kind of mutes them a bit, and so they're not going on with full intensity and it doesn't get out of control. And what I do is, since I already have a good blend going on, I just like stamp it on over here a little bit to keep it in the exact spot I want. Build that up a little bit and just kind of tap it out instead of blending it out, because I find that blending it out like this is what takes it from being just depth in a very specific spot and makes it go out of control. So just slowly and carefully tapping that on bit by bit, very small layers, and keeping it very tight to my outer corner. I took more of that shade Forlorn on this teeny tiny pencil brush from Makeup Shack that's also pretty sparse, so when I put it really tight to my lower lash line here, it's not depositing too much pigment either. And I'm really applying just the tiniest amount of this right here and bringing it up into that outer corner, of course. I took more of that first shade Misty Eyed, and I'm just going over everything to make sure the blend is good. Now I'm taking the shade Incantation on my finger. I already have the other eye done, so you can see what it looks like, but I'm gonna put this all over my lid. This shade is so interesting because it kind of has this desaturated, almost grayish, rosy tone straight on when the light's hitting from forward, but then you can see from the sides, it's very fiery orange, and that's what I was hoping for. I was hoping that that fiery orange would really contrast against these smoky, cool tones. This shade is very unique to my collection, and I'll pop up a swatch of it here so you can see what I mean, because it's just, I don't have anything quite like this. Like, I don't understand what makes that shift straight on. For my inner corner, and I swear I didn't plan this, but it just worked out, I'm going to use this new highlighter from Unearthly that's launching on February 22nd, I believe. And this is in collaboration with my friend Xander. I'm using a lot of collab products today, I guess. But I think that the tone of this highlighter, you can see it's this like beautiful green, but it's got a bit of almost gold to it, I think, and I think this will look really good in the inner corner against these tones. I'm popping that in my inner corner, and I like to take it down here as well, and as always, up through the swoop. And I kind of bring it sort of into the mattes as well. This highlighter is so pretty because it's super smooth, but still a little sparkly. I feel like most iridescents, when they're this smooth, are more shiny than sparkly, but this is, it's not like ultra sparkly, it's not glittery, but it has this super refined sparkle. That's what it is. It's a refined sparkle, and there's no base to it, even though it's, you know, white in the pan, it's an iridescent. So I think it works really well, at least on my medium skin tone. Now that the eyeshadow's done, I can choose a blush color, and I already have bronzer on. I have the Phytosurgence Spectral Sunlight in shade 7 Golden Heatwave, which is kind of a go-to shade for me. Also, I'll have all of my base makeup details in the description box, and I can't remember if I said that already or not, so this is what I mean by this. Filming this is just a little chaotic today. Okay, for blush, I recently got some new blushes from Glaminatrix Cosmetics, and they sent me their liquid lip and cheek blushes, as well as these cream and powder duos, and I'll have swatches of all of these over on Instagram eventually, but for today I specifically wanted to use this cream powder duo in the shade Muted Mocha because continuing the trend of using both warm and cool tones for this look, I want the cheeks to be warm, and then I'm gonna do a cool toned lip to pull everything together. This is a new to me formula, so I am trying it out for the first time here on camera, and I wanted to just put my finger in it to get a feel for it first and see what it swatched like before putting it on my face. And I've already powdered my cheeks, and this is a cream blush, and I asked my friend Dee over on Instagram, I asked her, I was like, quick, tell me quick, I'm about to film and I don't know if these are going to blend well over powder, but she said that as long as it's just a light wash of powder on my cheeks, it should be fine. So that's what I have, and hopefully this will work. So just based on this swatch, this is actually quite sheer. I went and put another layer over it, and I'm gonna do one more just to show you that it is quite buildable. And I was a little worried that this shade might not work on me based on some photos I saw online, but in person I think this is going to be perfect on me. I'm going to take it on a brush because I do prefer to apply cream products with a brush, and I really work it into the brush like this first. Then I start to work it into the palm of my hand like this. You could also do the back of your hand, but the back of my hand has shimmer on it. And so this will get a really even layer on the brush, which means it will apply really evenly on my cheeks. I'm just going to take it right over here, and I usually like to pounce it on like this, like you would with, you know, a sponge, a beauty blender type of thing, especially because I have powder on already. If I didn't have powder on, then I could do more of a blending motion, but I don't want to disturb the products underneath, which is why I am tapping it on like this. This did in fact apply pretty evenly, and this is quite a dewy formula, as you can see. Like, can you see this glow? And when I turn my head away from the light, you can see, I think, more of the true color over here, and it's very pretty, and I'm not going to apply anymore. I am happy with that pigment. If anything, I'm going to try to just blend out the edges. So I do enjoy a dewy finish, but this is glossy, which is a vibe, but not the vibe for today because my base is quite full coverage and pretty matte here in the center of my face, and I don't enjoy the disconnect between how matte it is here and how dewy it is here. I would want a blush this dewy on a more sheer coverage base and one that's more fresh and dewy and not so matte. So I'm going to set it with the powder half of the blush, and the other reason that I want to set it with the powder half is this blush is more rosy than I want for this specific eye look. It's a beautiful color and I would wear this with another look, but for today I want it to be more warm, not quite orange, but just more fiery to match the shimmer on my lids, which is why I want to set with this powder. So I'm just tapping on the powder over it, and yeah, that's already taking away so much of the glossiness. I don't know if you can see it on camera because it still looks dewy, but compared to, oh my gosh, yes, compared to this side, it is a lot less glossy and just more dewy. Overall, I really like how this applied and how it looks on the skin. I like the colors. So I did receive the rest of the blushes in my PR package from Glaminatrix. I don't know if I mentioned that this was PR, but always all of the products that I'm using will be listed in the description box along with which ones are PR. So I haven't tested out any of the other blushes yet, especially this formula, like I said, was my first time using. The other blushes that I got were the lip and cheek flushes that are a liquid in a tube, and in comparison to those, the formula of this, the cream, is way more dewy, it's way more glossy. But this is also the first time that Glaminatrix is doing a powder formula, and I quite like how that one applied too. I actually thought that this shade was not going to show up too well on my skin tone, but I did a swatch in the back of my hand and you can see it looks, you can see it, it shows up, and I will also pop up a clip on the screen, a swatch of this, so you can see it up close. The powder is not a matte, it actually has a fine pearl running throughout it, but it's not glittery or anything, and it's just a really pretty shimmery blush. I just did my mascara off camera and I'm back, and if you notice any smudging along the lash line, I know, I'm very messy with my mascara, and usually I'll go ahead and do my lip combo while the mascara is drying, and once it's fully dry, I'll take a Q-tip and just clean off that smudging along the lash line. But really quickly, I want to mention that I used the Mob mascara, which I've had for some time now, so mini review. I really like this. I think it does exactly what it says it's supposed to, which is to be a volumizing mascara, and it's neither too dry nor too wet, and I was able to get good results with it right when I got it, which is very unusual for mascaras. Usually I feel like the ones that I really like take a few days to dry out to get to the consistency that I like, but this was good right off the bat, and it's still good because I also find that mascaras that start off good dry out really easily, but this one is still performing really well, so I really like it. I actually want to do a Mob Beauty full brand review because I've been using the brand for quite some time now, and I've collected lots of the products, so I feel like I could do a thorough review of a bunch of them. And I actually saw that Tom, my friend Hope Mess Tom, who a lot of you probably know and love and watch, they did a full Mob Beauty review, which you should definitely go watch if you haven't already. But they are a very experienced YouTuber and I am not, and I need to get a lot more comfortable talking about non-eyeshadow products before I feel comfortable doing something like that. But the problem is that I also don't want this mascara to get too dry before I do that review, so hopefully I can get it done sometime in the next few weeks. So I mentioned that I want to keep the lip combo very cool toned since the cheeks are pretty warm and the shimmer's pretty warm, but the mattes are more cool, so I want a cool tone on the lip to balance everything out. And what I'm going to use is MAC Stone, which I acquired a few weeks ago. It may have been more than a few weeks. It might have been the beginning of this year, honestly, but I've had it for a few weeks now and I've only used it a couple times, so I'm trying to get more use out of it. So I did a short using Stone, demoing it, trying it on, and that was my first time using it, and it does wash me out pretty significantly on its own. So I'm going to pair it with the lip liner, and I'm going to use Unearthly's Char. I always get Char and Cursed mixed up, but Cursed is more cool toned and lighter. It's kind of closer in depth to Stone, so it wouldn't give me the definition I need, which is why I'm going to use Char, which is more of a neutral leaning brown. I don't know how people talk and line their lips at the same time, so I might just speed through this footage. So here's what the lip liner looks like before I have blended it in. What I usually like to do is put a pretty thick line around the perimeter of my lips, and then I will do that to soften it up and bring it in a bit, especially because I do want to add a bit more depth underneath Stone since it's a bit light for me. But then because I've lost some of the definition on the perimeter of my lips, I'm going to go in and do another layer of the lip liner. And then again, because I do want more depth, how many times can I say that? I'm going to add a little bit more at the corners of my lips. I love this lipstick so much. It is everything I wanted out of a cool toned, slightly brown lipstick. And when I posted my short with this and on my other platforms as well, I got several comments from people saying that Stone used to be matte when it first came out way back when, and now that it's been brought back, it's in the sleek satin formula, which a lot of people are upset about. And I get it because this is quite a statement color, and I can understand why people would want it matte, but I do have other cool tone lipsticks that are a grayish brown that are matte, so I'm in the camp of it's nice to have one in a satin finish. Now that I have the lip on, I actually do think that this is a little too dewy for what I want in this look, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my powder brush and just tap it over to get rid of some of that, and that's perfect. Here is the final look. I really like how it turned out. I think it really achieved that balance between warm and cool tones, which I was trying to achieve. So let me know what you think about the look. Also, let me know what you thought about the format of this video, because like I mentioned in the beginning, this was my first time filming this style of get ready with me application try on video, and I want to do more of these. I want to do more tutorials, some that are more concept driven, some that are, like, when I say concept driven, I mean more like inspired by something specific, but I also want to do some technique tutorials, things that I have really come to love over the years doing makeup for this long, and even maybe recreating some looks that I have over on Instagram. If you have any looks that I've done that you want to know how I created, let me know and I could definitely do a tutorial for that. I'm feeling super inspired and motivated to film long form content, and I'm just trying to get a sense of I'm trying to strike a balance between what people like to watch and also what fulfills me. So that's why I want to hear from you what you would like to see. But that's it for this video. Please don't forget to like and comment and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!